everyone. My name is Ilia Stranko. I am the, like Rachel said, I'm the founder of Spiritually Curious. I do online sessions and a bunch of workshops in person. Well, they used to be in person. Sometimes, hopefully, we will gather again in community. And I do them online as well. So today I'm really excited. We're going to be talking about two of my most favorite topics, and I like to call them the tools. So they are smudging and pendulums. So that's what we're here to talk about today. They're really important tools when it comes to our spiritual toolkit. But before we get started in that, what I really wanted to do is just take a moment to center our energy, bring us together, and have just a moment to connect in this space. So if you can just close your eyes and place one hand on your heart and just take a deep breath in and exhale. And take another deep breath in and exhale. And just take a moment to settle your energy. And what I mean by that is that all of those thoughts that are racing through your mind, everywhere that you've been this morning leading up to this moment, just allow that to all kind of go into the background and bring your attention into this moment. Feel your body exactly where you're sitting. Feel your legs. And just bring your awareness and your connection here. And take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, just give yourself permission to be here. To have all of your attention in this moment. And I always love to imagine a little bubble forming around each one of us in this class. And slowly imagine that your bubble is getting larger. And invite in all of us into this bubble, into your bubble. And keep breathing as you expand your energy out to reach each one of us, so that we can create a sacred space together. A space for us to learn and for us to ask questions. And a space where we get to be exactly who we are. And just take a deep breath in as we ignite that sacred space together. All right, and whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. That feels a little better, a little more settled. I don't know about you, but before I come to any of these classes, I'm always kind of running around a little bit, so it feels good just to kind of bring it in and get us ready to be here together. So since we have such a small class, I'm really excited because we will have the opportunity to ask questions. So please, I'm going to turn on my chat so that I can see if anyone asks questions. You can go ahead and type them, or wave your hand, and I can see you waving, so I can call on you if you have questions as we go. But I'm just going to dive in and get started. So today, the first thing that we're going to talk about is pendulums. And I love, 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 love using pendulums. And the fun thing about a pendulum is no matter whether you have like a formal pendulum, where you've bought one, or you can I wore a necklace today to show you how easy it is to just use something that you have at home. So if you don't have a pendulum, you can just take a necklace or anything that has a heavy weighted bottom, and you can use that. So you don't have to get anything super fancy other than what you have at home. So if you have anything, you're welcome to grab it. And if not, it's totally fine. You don't necessarily need it. But it's really about the weight and the energy that you infuse within the item that you're choosing to use. So it looks like some people went to go grab theirs. So do you have a question? No, you're just saying hi. Okay, just checking. Okay, so yeah, so that's what I love. I love to use a necklace, and that's like kind of on the fly too. Like if you're, I don't know, if you just go camping or you're just somewhere and you're like, I really want to ask a question or have a sacred moment, you can absolutely just use something that you have. And even, I mean, you could even tie something to a string. I mean, there's so many ways to make them on your own. I do make them and I love making them. So I have a ton of them. But so really the most important thing is that it has a heavy weight at the bottom. So, and really what a pendulum is at its core is it's an energy reader. And the energy that it's picking up on is actually your energy. So sometimes people will say, well, how do I know that it's reading the right thing? Well, it's reading your energy. So what's happening is that it's reading the deep down desire that you have, even if you don't necessarily, if you in your mind may feel a little wishy-washy, this is going to pick up your energy around that question or that experience or what have you, whatever you're using it for. And so the key to using it is to learn its movements. Now, every time you use it, here's the tricky thing, is that it may move in a different way. And that's the most important thing, is to always check in with it. And I'm going to show you how, but to always check in with it to see which direction is yes and which direction is no, because it may change. And I personally have pendulums that I use in my private practice with people and pendulums that I use just for me. So you can use them on friends and kind of read their energy and see what's going on with their chakras. But I like to have two separate ones because it is going to fuse with your energy. And whatever item that you choose, even if it's a necklace, I always encourage people to wear it a lot. Wear it, keep it with you. I keep my pendulums in my pocket, in my purse. They're always on me some way, shape, or form, so that so it's always absorbing my energy. And that's the one that I use for myself. So that's one of the most important things, is that you keep it around you. Sometimes, people will put them on their altars or their sacred space, and that's fine too. There's really no right or wrong way. I like to think of all of these tools. It's what works for you. So sometimes when dealing with pendulums, you'll hear people say you should ask yes, no, maybe questions. And I'm going to say no. I'm going to say only ask yes, no, because maybe, who wants a maybe? Nobody wants a maybe. Nobody. So yes, no, that's it. Calibrate your pendulum for yes, no. Only ask yes, no questions. If your pendulum is wobbly, and sometimes that will happen, if it starts to wobble, The reason why it's wobbling is one of two things. You either have to clear its energy, or your energy is really indecisive about the question that you asked. So if you come back to that same question after you've cleared it, and I'm going to go over all of those steps, but after you've cleared it, and you've had some time to think about that question, and you come back and ask that question again, you'll likely get a yes or a no answer. Again, I never ask for maybes. I never. Okay, that's like, don't do it. It's like, I don't know if anyone ever does tarot, but if you do tarot, it's like you're going to end up just pulling another card, pulling another card, pulling another, and it just doesn't end. And so don't do maybes. But okay, so, all right. So when you're working with a pendulum, if you have chosen one, or if it's a necklace or what have you, again, the important thing is that it's connected to your energy. It's been in your energetic field for a while. And then when you go to use it, I like to first, you can clear it if you've never used it before. That's a funny question. Joe, I'll answer that question in a sec. I love it. But if you've never used it before, you're going to want to clear its energy. Like if you just bought it at the store or it just arrived in the mail, you're going to want to clear the energy. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can hold it in your hand and you can just set an intention to clear the energy. You can hum to it, which I'm not going to do because I'm not a great singer, so I won't do that in real life, but you can hum to it, and the vibration of that humming, you can actually clear crystals this way too, but the vibration of that humming will clear the energy. And you can smudge it, which we'll go over next later. So you can also smudge it. There's a whole bunch of different ways. I do use crystals for my pendulums. So I like to put them every month in the full moon energy so that the full moon pulls and pushes the way the moon works with our energy over the energy of our crystals and things like that. So I do like to do that for extra maintenance monthly. So once you clear it, what you're going to do is you're going to hold it one of two ways. Some people will hold it over their heart like this. And then some people will hold it in their hands and just place it over their hearts, because what you're going to do next is you're going to connect it to your heart's energy. And the way I like to hold a pendulum is like this. So can everyone see? So you're not holding it like this, right? So you can hold it this way. You can sometimes hold it so that it's like flipped over a finger, depending on how long your item is that you're using. You just want the least amount of movement from your own physical body, which is why I don't like to hold it from here, because our fingers tend to, they'll shake it, but you can hold it like this. Sometimes I like to do this. Again, it depends on the length of your chain. Usually 6 to 9 inches is what you'll find in terms of the length of a chain. You just want to make sure that you're not creating as little movement as possible. Okay. So that's how to hold it. And then if you wanted to hold it over your heart's energy, so see how like I want it to be over my heart, and the way I'm holding it now, it's not exactly. So I'm just going to hold it and let it rise by going over a couple of my fingers. So you can kind of play with it and see where you want it to be. Okay. So I place it over my heart's energy, and then you take a deep breath in and you connect your heart's energy to your pendulum. And this is when, because of this is when I stop sharing pendulums with people. This is why I like to use I have my own pendulum for myself, and I have pendulums that I work on people with. Even from a distance, I use my pendulum to work on my clients. But once your energy, you'll feel a connection to it. And sometimes you might get a pop in your mind, like it's ready. I normally start to feel like a kind of like a little warm sensation, and that lets me know. And then the first thing you're going to do after you feel like you've connected with the energy is you're going to hold it and you're going to ask it to show you yes. You're going to wait for its movement. And then you're going to ask for it to show you no, right? So I like to try to get it as still as possible. And I think it's nice to place, if there's nothing, if you're not using it to read something, I like to place my hand right under it so it picks up on the energy of my hand as well. And then I ask, show me yes, right? And you're gonna see, you should see mine, I think you can see mine moving. So mine is moving in a clockwise motion, showing me yes. And now I'm going to stop it, which I don't usually do, except for during this time. So I'm going to stop it. I'm going to thank it for showing me yes, right? We're always giving gratitude. And then I'm going to try to make it as still as possible again and say, show me no. Okay, and it's showing me no as moving back and forth in a line towards my body and away from my body. Okay, and now yours may be showing you something different, and that's okay, because this could show me something different tomorrow for yes and no. So it's really important to always know, to always ask this before you begin, because some days it may be different. And then you're going to ask, and this is where you confirm that it's actually connected to your energy and fully working. You're going to ask it a definite yes question. So something like, for me, it would be, my name is Ilia. And I'm going to make sure after I ask that it moves in the direction of yes. If it doesn't move in the direction of yes, when you ask a definite question, then you're going to go through calibrating it again. You're going to reconnect it to your heart's energy. And then you're going to ask it to show you yes, show you no. And then you're going to, again, ask your definite yes and your definite no. Okay? And it can move, just so that you know. Sometimes people will ask me questions like, well, does clockwise always mean yes, and does counterclockwise always mean no? No, it can almost be different every single time you use it. Usually it gets into a pretty consistent pattern. So you don't always have to worry so much about that, because it normally will, like, yes will be pretty consistent and no will be pretty consistent, but it doesn't mean it's always going to be counterclockwise and clockwise. And so just know it can be all over, like no, it can move in any direction to show you yes or no is basically what I'm trying to say. And then you're going to ask the confirming question, and then you're going to, when you're done, you're going to, I always give gratitude. I always say, thank you for helping me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for answering my questions. And I tend to do that after each question. And once you get your yes and no, then you can ask whatever question it is that you would like to ask. And again, asking yes, no questions so that your pendulum can actually answer the question for you. And it can be like, should I move? Yes or no? Should I, whatever's coming up for you. The other fun thing that I like to do is I actually use these to clear my personal chakras. Right? So, and what I do, and I can send you all, I wonder if I don't know how to share it, but I can send you all a little chakra cheat sheet that I like to use, and it puts the chakras on a piece of paper in front of me. So I imagine my energy, and this is how you can use a pendulum to clear your personal energy. I imagine my chakras in front of me on this piece of paper, and I go over each one with my pendulum. And the way that you're going to do that is you're just going to, I like to start at my root. You start at your root. You imagine that your root chakra is in front of you. If you don't have a piece of paper or chakras or something like that that you can look at, you can just use your hand, and it's going to spin. And this time you're not going to stop it. You're going to wait. When it's done, and you say in your mind, when you're done clearing my chakra, stop, please stop. And you'll see your pendulum will come to a stop. It may not come to a complete halt, but it'll go big, and then it'll slow down enough and you'll know that it's ready. And you just keep moving through all of your chakras. So that's a really neat way to use it to clear your own energy. You can use it to see your friends' chakras and have them lay down if you know where they are, and you can watch them. But I encourage, this is a fun way to actually see a chakra. It's like the only way to see a chakra. But I encourage everyone, once you start doing that and it's spinning, don't stop it. Just let it continue going, because it's clearing and working on their chakra, and it will stop when it's done. So that's a fun way to use your pendulum. Another thing that you can do is if you've lost something in your house, you can draw kind of like a footprint of your house, and you can say, like, so say you think you lost your ring upstairs. You can draw all the rooms like a floor plan, and then you take your pendulum and you hold it over that floor plan, and you wait. You kind of hold it in the center, and it's going to move in the direction of the room that item is in. And then you can go into that room essentially over the grid that you drew. And then you can ask more clarifying questions, because say it's in your bedroom. You can say, well, is it at my dresser? Is it here? Is it under this? And you can start asking all these questions to narrow it down. So you don't do the maybe questions, but you can ask a big question, and then you can ask clarifying questions and keep narrowing it down until that item is found or something like that. It's kind of it's a fun way. You can also clear the energy of your house that way too. I tend to lean more towards smudging, and we'll talk about that in a minute, to clear my actual house. But you know, if you're in a crunch, you could do it that way, which is kind of fun. Trying to think, what else do I want to go over for pendulums? Okay, so let's see. If you're indecisive by nature, your energy always knows. Even if you're indecisive by nature, you have the immediate yes, no that happened. When you're indecisive by nature, what happens is your intuition is telling you immediately what your answer is, but then your mental body is coming in and being like, well, maybe I should or well, maybe that's going to bother someone else, or well, so you start allowing in all of the external kind of voices coming in, but you in your inside know what the answer is. A fun story I like to share around trusting that, because we've all had this experience, is that email that pops up that invite. Well, right now we'd probably all go to the party, but the email that pops up that invites you to a party, and you're like, oh, I don't really want to go. I don't have time. That's the first thing that pops in, right? That's your answer. All you have to do is click no, right? You just say, no, can't make it, sorry. But if you wait that out a little, you're going to start, your mental body's going to come in like, oh, I should go, like I feel bad, and then you're going to click yes. And then you're going to go through the next couple of weeks until that party comes in your mind, being like, why did I say yes? I wish I didn't want to go, right? So you're not actually indecisive. You knew immediately what you wanted to do. However, the external mental thoughts that they start to interfere with that. And that's what gets the indecision. So your pendulum will read right through that. Your pendulum will just read your energy and tell you yes or no, because you already deep down know the answer, but it's all the other stuff that kind of gets in our way. So yeah. I love, yes, I have that same friend. Oh, my pen, I love these pendulums. Yes, thank you, thank you. So the history of pendulums, history is funny. Pendulums have been used for a really, really long time. They're part of what people would call dowsing, and it's just a way of reading energy. There's a bunch of different ways of reading energy where you would see people like with like sticks, kind of like those sticks that they walk maybe through the woods with and say, you know, they're like looking for something that they lost, and those sticks would kind of cross over. It's all a part of different tools for energy reading. It depends on where you're looking, and that will share with you the history, but it's a part, the easiest way would be to say it's part of dowsing, but that would bring you back into like so much different history. But it's a part, it's just another tool in terms of energy reading that goes back to like even like witches will, you know, there's a whole bunch of history in it. And now, you know, I just like to use it as a form of my practice to help like answer questions, or even like I'll pull, if you're into tarot or oracle decks, I'll pull some cards and flip them over, and I'll place, you know, my pendulum over them and say, what's the most important card for me today? And I let it kind of move, because it will pull. The more that you use it, you'll see that it will pull. You know, I'm going to exaggerate it, but it will pull in a certain direction. Even if you're using it, say you're imagining your chakras are in front of you, it's going to pull in a certain direction towards the chakra that needs the most attention. So if you don't have time to clear all of yours and you're imagining that they're kind of, each one is in front of you, you can just say which one is the most important one for today. And it will actually, it almost feels like it gets heavy and it starts to move in a certain direction. And the other thing that I would say too, when it comes to that, is if it doesn't move it up and down, because we have an energy field. And if you're imagining your chakras are in front of you, your energy field is going to kind of go there as well. So you may be in the wrong layer, I would say, and you just need to move it up, especially if you're doing it on someone else. If it's not moving on someone else, move it up a little, move it down a little, and then you'll see all of a sudden it'll start spinning, because there's a certain layer that it wants to be in, because that's the layer that needs a little love in that day. Okay, any other questions? Good. Okay, yay. Okay, so pendulums. Thank you, pendulums. I always thank my pendulum before I put it down. Okay, and then so now we're going to go into smudging. Smudging. Oh, I love smudging. I'm crazy for smudging. I mean, I have okay. All right. So smudging, and here is the fun. So the history of smudging, we'll start there since we were just talking about the history of pendulums a little bit. The history of smudging is essentially, it goes back to basically any religion has some sort of smudging involved. You can find it anywhere, whether you're, you can find history to it that ties to almost every religion, which I think is really cool. It also has really deep Native American roots. So that is predominantly where I think we learned this from, and then different religions and different cultures have taken it and spun their own version of it. So I encourage you to kind of, even ask questions or look back into your family's history, because I know, I learned about this stuff when I was a little girl from my grandparents, but I didn't understand what they were doing. I didn't know what they were doing. I just knew that we when we bought a new house, when anyone in my family bought a new house, like no one could go in the house until my grandfather came in and did this thing. I didn't know exactly what that was, but now being who I am, I asked questions and I learned that he was actually burning orange peels. Now, that was my family's way of doing it. So I encourage you to kind of, ask some questions and see if there's something that even, was happening years and years and years ago, because it's likely a very long time ago that your family was doing it too. And you can find out what they were using. And I kind of really love that. I save orange peels because that's what my grandfather used. And so that makes me feel really connected to my history, to my culture, to my family. And I think it's a really neat way to create that connection that may have not been passed down because we've moved away from these things in our culture. And so I think it's really fun if you have the opportunity to kind of go back and either ask your family or look in your lineage to see like maybe what was used. And oh yeah, and Catholic masses, absolutely. They walk up and down. They're smudging, yeah. And yeah. Oh, I love deja vu. Okay. And and so yeah, so you will see that in Catholic masses 100%. There's so many different rituals, so many different cultures that actually use it. And that's the really fun thing. I'm going to go over some of the basic tools that you're going to find out and about, and also what you can use even just from your kitchen. And again, orange peels. You can take an orange, you can peel it, and you can let them dry, and you can burn them. Anything that is an herb, you can use, and pretty much anything that can be dried, you can use it as, I call it a smudgeable. So anything at all. And that's what's really fun about it. So if there's a scent that reminds you of something really special in your life, maybe it's the smell of lavender, or maybe it's the smell of cinnamon, or maybe whatever it is, you can then use that to clear the energy of the home, of your home, or of your body, because that's what creates that special connection. It's like, that olfactory thing that happens when you smell something that brings you back to a special time. And so I really love, I'm going to show you some of the things that you'll find that people will recommend to use, but I really encourage you to find things that have a scent that you connect with, because that's what's going to clear your home. When you are just loving and being loving in that moment, you're going to send that energy through your house. And that's predominantly when we smudge, is when we're clearing our home or clearing our own energetic body. So I really, really love using, again, things that have meaning to you. Not necessarily what you should use, but what you can, and what's possible, what you could use. So some of the things that you've likely seen or heard about. The first one that most people are familiar with is white sage. So this is white sage. And this again is a big one from like Native American culture. And it's a beautiful clearer. And it clears. This is the thing when you're using things to smudge. Some things just clear the energy, which is fine, but then you want to invite in positive energy too. So usually there's some things that do both, and I'll share with you that. But usually it's a two-step process depending on what you're using. So this is white sage. I also have some cedar, and you can maybe see the difference. And now these big bundles, you can actually cut them. You don't have to leave them in these big, huge, enormous bundles. You can cut them and just maybe burn a leaf. you don't have to you don't have to keep it in this enormous thing if you don't want to. Because sometimes, like this one I bought years ago, and it's so big, I've never actually, it's just too big. It's like crazy. But at the time, I didn't know like I could take it apart and do all of this stuff. So now I just use it as an example to show you, like you can unwind it and you can cut it, and you don't necessarily have to keep an enormous smudgeable. I like them smaller. I like to make little ones that are much smaller. They're just easier to manage. So those are those two. Another one that you're going to see is Palo Santo. And you're probably going to hear a lot about Palo Santo. And I'm going to go on a quick soapbox about Palo Santo. Palo Santo is being sourced at an enormous rate. So you really, and Palo Santo translates into sacred wood. It's been used by shamans and medicine men and women for, I don't even, for eons, we'll just say, I don't even know how many years, well beyond. It's probably one of the first smudgeables. However, the intention behind it is that the tree itself should fall before it's harvested. That's obviously not happening anymore. The tree itself is not falling. And there are some people that say it has to like sit for 10 to 20 years before you can actually harvest it. That is absolutely not happening anymore. However, because the spirituality movement has introduced Palo Santo into mainstream, it has wiped out the trees. So I encourage you, there are sustainable places that you can purchase these now that are planting trees, harvesting them, maybe not in the 20-year wait for the tree itself to fall and harvest it in that way, but they are being sustainable. I will email that out as well. Mountain Rose Herbs is a great website for sustainable Palo Santo. It will cost you a little bit more for sustainable, but I do believe that it is worth it. And you get a bundle, and like the one of the bunch that you buy will last you a very long time. And I'm going to teach you how to burn everything, but that's Palo Santo. Other things that you may see, sweetgrass. I'll talk about that in a second too. This one you'll see a lot less, but I love sweetgrass, so I love teaching about it. It just smells so lovely. And then the other thing, and this I wanted to show you, is like cinnamon sticks. So this you probably have at home, and you just like pop out a cinnamon stick and you can burn it. I don't love the smell of a burning cinnamon stick, but I have lots of friends that do. But this is another one that is probably in your it's in my medicine cabinet. It may not be in your medicine cabinet, but it's probably in your pantry, and you can just go ahead and grab it and use that. So that's like a one that you probably already have at home without having to go out and buy anything. Okay, so once you figure out which one you're going to use, they all have different properties. The reason why I do love Palo Santo is for the impact that it has. So when you burn it, and we're going to talk about that too, but when you burn it, it's going to clear the energy, but it also invites in positive energy. And not all of them are kind of a one-stop shop the way Palo Santo is. And that's why I really do love it, but I cannot stress enough to please get it sustainably. And then the other thing that you're going to want is a burn bowl, or you will see an abalone shell. This is another item that you want to make sure is sustainably sourced. It's hard to find this sustainably sourced right now, but it is starting. And the reason, again, is because these are being harvested at an enormous rate as well. And I'm going to talk about why we use all of these things and what they represent. So to replace this, if you don't have it, you can use, this is my burn bowl, and you can use this, not this exactly, but anything that's oven safe So if you have something in your kitchen that's oven safe, you can use it as a burn bowl. You just want something that's, you can place something that's hot in it and it's not going to go through it. The other thing that I travel with that I love that little kits are coming are these, I use mason jars. So if you have a mason jar at home, you can just use it. I literally, whenever I travel, I put all my stuff inside. This one, you can see all the ashes at the bottom. I put all my stuff inside, put a little lid on it. And now you can like bring it with you, because like I like to clear the energy of hotel rooms. I clear the energy of everywhere. So you just want a fire safe dish. Okay. And so once you figure out what you're going to use, this is where I really think it's important to know what your why is. So for smudging, so much of it is about why are you doing it? And normally it's because there's some sort of transformation taking place. You want to transform the energy of the room that you're in. You want to transform the energy that is in your body. You want to, however you are using your smudging, it's normally because you're wanting to create some sort of energetic shift. And that's the beauty of smudging, because the act behind it is actually doing that. It is setting the stage and doing that for you. And that's the beautiful, beautiful thing. When I think about creating sacred moments, this is a really easy and beautiful way to create that sacred moment for you in your home. And so when we're talking about the burning bowl, the reason why you see abalone shells, and the reason why for me this has blue on it, is because this represents water. So we're each part of smudging represents a different element, right? So we've got smudging, we've got the abalone shell, which represents water. We've got, you know, whatever herb it is that you're using that represents the earth. And then we've got whatever you're going to use to light it, that represents the fire, and then the air that ignites it, right? So these four things coming together are really, really beautiful and part of creating this sacred ceremony, part of creating this moment of transition and transformation in your space or in your energetic body. So when you think about it, what I love is this connection with the smoke, right? So when you go to burn it, you're thinking about like the air that's all around it, what it is that you want to transform. What is it that you are working on? What is it that you are bringing into life? What is it that you're clearing the space for? And sometimes it's because the energy feels icky. Sometimes it's because you really want to get into this creative space and you want to invite in all of that creative energy so that you can work on, you know, whatever it is that you're bringing into your life. So make that a part of your ceremony. Make it, you can create a ritual around it, because all of these steps are a part of it, right? So in your mind, you begin to imagine before you even get started, why am I clearing this space today? You know, and when I'm right now imagining my kids' room. I'm clearing my kids' room because I want the energy to be clear. I want them to have good dreams. I want them to feel loved and to feel safe, and whatever it is that you want for that room, right? Maybe it's the entryway of your home, and you want every single person that comes into your home to feel a loving connection the second they cross over the threshold. Whatever it is that you want for that space is what you start inviting in even before you light it, right? And then you take your lighter and you light it. And now the belief behind it, which is so beautiful, is that here is the transformation right in front of our eyes. As the smoke begins, this is where our energy, our physical body energy, connects to our spirit body energy, right? So the belief is that this smoke transcends and goes into our spiritual energy and starts creating what it is that we're inviting in. So as it's clearing, it's creating that connection but it's also beginning the stage of inviting in what it is that you and what you want, but creating that connection to, beyond the veil, beyond the other side, beyond to your spiritual connection, to your higher self, to those parts of you that are not in the physical, right? It's that smoke that creates that. And I love, and the idea of transformation, that you get to see that transformation occur right in front of your eyes. And that is what we're really looking for when we're smudging. And we create it. We create it with our simple act, with the thoughts that we have, and with the actions that take place after, right? So that all of those steps bring in all of the earth's elements, and it brings in all of the energy that you want to use to clear the space. And it's the smoke that literally begins to then pick up on the, we'll say, negative, stagnant energy, whatever it is that's in your home. It begins to pick up all of that. And maybe if you're doing your energetic body, it picks it up for your energy, and you can start to move it and sweep it away. And so that's the beauty of what it truly represents, is that transformation. So simply, if you're going to just use it for your energy, I like to connect it to my heart. I'm always working with heart energy, connecting it to your heart's energy, and then just moving around. So there's so many different ways that people will teach how to do this. I love to just go up and around the top of my head, and then bringing it down my body, around towards my feet, and then up the other side and bringing it again back to my heart center. And that's what I do to clear my energy. If you want to clear your home, you would do it to the corners of a room, and you can waft it, right? Like, so you're just using your hand to kind of push that smoke around, and you want to reach the highest corners of your room, the highest corners of your space, so that smoke rises and pulls that energy that's kind of going up and staying stagnant in the corners. You're also going to want to open a window so that that energy can move out, and it has a place to exit. And so that's how you clear your energy really quickly, and some of the history, and also some of the different tools that you can use. There's so many, and I really, really, really encourage you to, again, use the things that just, like, white sage smells so good to me. My husband can't stand it, so I very rarely use it because it just sets his energy off, but I love it. Palo Santo, all of these create a different sensation for me. So play and learn what smells like create that loving moment for you, so that you can then use those as your tools. There's no right or wrong way. And I think the best way is your own way, is the way that resonates with you and you connect with so deeply. Do candles do the same thing? I think candles are a lovely thing to bring into your practice. They're not going to smudge, they're not going to clear the energy of a space, but they help setting the intention of a space. You can use it as a part of, like, setting the intentions for your rituals. There's certain things that I like to kind of Pavlov myself into, so that it's like when I go to meditate, I ring up one of my bowls, and that, like, instantly lets me know, like, okay, this is my meditation time. So lighting a candle can be one of those other moments where you where you begin to set the stage and invite the energy. It's not going to smudge, though. So you can find me at iliastranko.com, and I'm on Instagram as well at spiritually.curious. So you can find me there too. You can email me at iliastranko.com. Or you can DM me. I'm on Facebook. I'm all over the place. All the places get to me. But I will email all of you after this some links to just get in touch with me, and how to get pendulums if you want them. You can always email me. I'm going to have a store coming out soon online, but for now I just send pictures. But they're my little favorite babies. Thank you all so much. I love being here.